Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Pedersen. I'm an AI product lead here at QuickBase. And today we're going to be viewing a couple of QuickBase applications focused on the solar industry and solar sales and installation. A little bit about myself. I come from the solar industry, have 10 plus years of solar experience, had my own dealership, and spent several years building applications for solar companies. So with that, we'll go ahead and hop into our agenda. And what we can see here is the kind of a high level of what I'm going to be showcasing today. We're going to start with the AI Smart Builder. If you're new to QuickBase and you're looking for maybe a good foundation to start your solar application with, we're going to go ahead and use that AI Smart Builder to put in a couple prompts to have us QuickBase build that foundation app. And then second, I'm going to move into more of a kind of built out application, which I call the baseline solar app, where we're going to go through a full work stream where if you're a sales rep, sales manager, you're putting in leads into QuickBase. Those leads are converted over to a project. You have your tasks. You go to site survey installation, all the way to PTO. So we're going to show that whole process. And then within that process, I am going to highlight Fast Field, which is our new mobile form capability, where you can dispatch forms out to, let's say, site surveyors or installers, that then they can use their mobile phones to, let's say, upload photos during site survey or after installation. And then I'm also just going to highlight some pipelines and how to really automate these workflows. Also, at the end, we're going to have a kind of Q&A session. So throughout any of this demonstration here today, if you have any questions, please go ahead and add those into the chat, and we'll address those at the end. So with that, I'll go ahead and hop into my demo. All right, so I open up my QuickBase realm here, and I open up the AI Smart Builder. And as you can see, we have those three questions. The one, in what industry? In this case, solar sales and installation. We could also put the energy sector. And then what do we want our app to do? And very simple, solar sales and installation management, streamlined process. And then the third, what do you want to track? We want to track our solar leads, projects, tasks, sales interactions, installation progress. So this is a great way for anyone new here, that if you want to start with a good template, you can come in here and use your own words to build a baseline application. So we'll go ahead and hit create. And again, what this is actually doing behind the scenes is the AI is becoming an expert in the solar sales and installation industry. It's elaborating on the use case. It's creating the entire application from the tables, the fields, the relationships, and really bringing it all together, right? It's also going to be creating sample data for us. And with that sample data, it's going to build really quite an extensive library of reports that those reports are then going to be added to those dashboards. So once this is done loading here, we'll hop into this application and we'll kind of poke around and see what the AI was able to build for us for a good starting point of this app. Great. So the AI is done. It looks like it built our foundation app here, and you can see at the very top, solar sales and installation. We have our tables, the leads, projects, tasks, customer interactions, installation, and inventory. And this looks great. So on the left, we have our use case, kind of talks about what the app does, the benefits, next steps. And if we go ahead and look at, let's say, the leads table here, I like to take a look at some of the reports that was created, some of the sample data. Yeah, it looks good. So for this, I just wanted to very quickly highlight the AI capability to create any type of application that you can think of. And it doesn't have to be just solar sales and installation. You could do solar inventory. You could do sales tracker. You could do, et cetera. Anything that really you think about, you would be able to use the AI Smart Builder to start that foundation for you. So moving on to the next agenda item, which is a little bit more of a built out application, which I call our baseline solar app here. And for this purpose, what I've done is this is my admin dashboard. And so as a builder, I like to have all of the different kind of views or maybe kind of dashboards that I'm going to be going through on my admin dashboard. And to start, when we think about an application for the solar sales and installation industry, we have a lot of people internally. We have a lot of sales reps. We might have dealers, vendors, subcontractors. And QuickBase does an excellent job at allowing you to track all of those folks, but also if they're at a different pay structure, which we call red lines, right, or EPC pricing. And so what that might look like within QuickBase, if I click here on the people form, it's going to take us over to the people table. And it's just a quick, snapshot where we'd be able to include what organization or dealer they're from, the status, are they onboarding, are they active, deactivated, and et cetera, as far as all the basic information. You can also include, basic around like their kind of shirt sizing and shoe size for incentives that you might have internally, rep details. And one of the big ones here I wanted to point out is, the red line. When the jobs typically are getting to the end of the sales process towards PTO, that's where we have like an M2 or the second payment from the finance company roll out where we can then pay the sales reps. So it's important that we're tracking this internally in relation to those red lines so we know exactly what to pay our sales reps in the future. And that all can be managed here in QuickBase. And then below, we have each persona, each person, sales rep, sales manager is tied to all of the leads that they've created themselves. So anytime you view any one of these sales reps, at the bottom, you'd be able to see all the leads that they've ever created, closed, anything like that. So that's just a quick kind of view into actually adding or onboarding new people into your organization. And then if we were to go back here to my home, my main admin dashboard here, let's take a look at maybe what a sales manager might view in QuickBase. So I'm a sales manager, I log in and I'm actually then presented with my dashboard where I could quickly, filter any reps that are within the organization, the status maybe of deals or those reps. And then I have a lot of visuals here as far as reporting on my dashboard. So I can see all the leads by status, all my active leads and how they're doing as far as in relation to the leads or projects that they've created. I can also see kilowatt hours converted, and then also the leads converted. So we can really start to customize those metrics. One of the bigger metrics that I've seen over the years is around like a sit to close ratio, or how many times have we presented a design and how many of those has actually gone to close. Those metrics are really great to know, especially when they're tied to zip codes or certain regions, to know where you're getting the most kind of bang for your buck with your sales funnels and your sales leads. And then on the second tab below, we have our leads overview. You can create multiple tabs on any one of these dashboards. So again, QuickBase is very good at just being so flexible that you can really customize this to be what you need it to be for your organization. That's the leads overview. Now, I can see here at the bottom, I've added myself as a sales rep, so Alex Pedersen there, and I have one lead. Now, if I click into this lead here, you can then see how it's taken me over to the leads table, and I have this lead here called Theo Pedersen, where if I go ahead and edit this lead, it's going to take me to the lead form. Now, this is also mobile friendly. And so if you do have any kind of lead setters or any sales reps that are out in the field, they can use any of their cell phone devices or iPads, anything like that to collect these leads. And then that data is automatically pushed back into, let's say, your backend office where you have a processing manager. So here I'm going to view all my lead information. That looks good. The lead source, it might be a corporate lead that was kind of given out to someone to go run or through a campaign. In this case, let's just say it was self-generated lead, knocked a door, talked to a homeowner or a business, and was able to get this information. Below, as if you are in the solar industry, you know that everything has to match on the documentation for finance. One of those things is that the name on let's say the deed or the home or the business has to match the name on the power bill. So below, we then also have to fill out the name on the power bill. And you can upload those photos of the power bill documentation very easily here. And then below, I have built out a section where you can add month by month the exact kilowatt hours and the bill. And with formula fields within QuickBase, these fields will all change based on your input. So as an example, if I was to change December here to, let's go up to 1500, and let's just say our bill is now 225, you can see every time I make that change below, all of my summary fields, or my formula fields rather, are changing based on whatever I change in those fields. Another kind of fun automation in this is with the design section. Now, I have seen over the years, a lot of different companies will have a different kind of process for this. In this case, what I'm doing is we are running all of our proposal requests through QuickBase, where we're assuming, let's say you have Aurora or something like that, kind of a CAD software in the background that you're creating these proposals for and giving back to your sales reps. So if I was to come in as a sales rep here and create a brand new design, like I'm requesting a design, I've spoken to the homeowner, the business owner, gotten all their bill information, and now I need a proposal to show where the solar panels are going to go on the home and how much are they going to save and what finance option do I have. So by doing so, I can create a new design, and I'll go ahead and open up the design I had created here, where we can then see, based on the information on that lead, it's carried over to the design information. This is great, especially if you're someone on the design or CAD team. You don't have to go search for any of that information anymore. You don't have to go through emails, text messages, Slack, anything like that. It's all tied in one central place, so you can get that information very quickly. So now we can see all the bill information, their address below. If I was a sales rep and I'm requesting a design, I might want to request 100% offset or below, depending upon their roof size. And maybe they're in an HOA, they don't want panels on the front of their home. So I can request their offset, their PPW, which is price per watt. And then are there any adders? Yes or no. And this is actually a dynamic form rule here, where if I say no, I don't see any adder list. But if I do say yes, then you can see my adder list then pops up. And as a rep, I would then be able to actually check what adders need to be included in this proposal for the design team to review and send back to me. And then below, if I am a designer, I'll go ahead and hit save and close, or I go to that next step. And I'm going to go back to my homepage and just show a very simple version of maybe a design dashboard. So I'll go here to the design, and it's going to pull up my designer dashboard. Now, this is a very simple version. Again, you can customize this to be whatever you'd like, but I have the ability to add a design, search designs, or search any leads, maybe that our designs are related to. And then if I had any new request, then that would pop up and I'd be able to see that and click right into it. Or you can also set up email notifications out of QuickBase. So not only would it appear on my dashboard, but it would also hit my inbox. I could click the link and it would take me directly back into the record from the sales rep, them requesting a new design. Great. So if I'm that designer and I'm going to go back into the design form here, I would review the information, all the adders, and then I would actually start to fill out, okay, based on my CAD drop in Aurora, let's say, I would then be able to add, okay, this is the total system price, let's say 32,000 for an 8 kilowatt system. This is the price per watt before the adders are included. And then this is the price per watt after the adders and the dealer fee are included. Now, most of the time, each finance option that you're using has different, like dealer fees or rates or like terms. And so within QuickBase, you can have a finance option table that then you can, let's say, deactivate or active certain finance options for your sales reps to pick. So let's say you have Dividend or Green Sky or Mosaic as those options for finance. You would be able to check off, we're not using this one anymore. It's going to be deactivated in a couple of weeks. So as a sales rep, when I come in to pick, I would then be able to see, what is the interest rate? Maybe what's the dealer fees? What's available for me to pick? And whatever I pick would then autofill into this form. Same thing goes below, where with the adders and the dealer fees, I'd be able to, with formula fields, automatically calculate what their price per watt is before and after that. As a designer, I could add any notes. Hey, I noticed some obstructions on the roof. They have a lot of shading on, let's say, the west side of the roof over there. We're going to have to add another adder for tree trimming type of a thing. So then you can start to really log that communication back and forth. Also, as a designer, I have the ability to upload multiple proposals. So this way the sales rep has access to that right away. Great. Now I'm going to go back to that lead and kind of go through another automation here within this app that really streamlines the process of converting a lead to an actual project. Going to a homeowner or let's say a business, and you finally get everything signed off on the design. What comes next? Typically, it's like the contract, the net metering agreement, any other kind of special request from the finance company that you're using to fund that project. So when I change this status to closed, it then would actually trigger and push all of this information over to then create a project. And what's great about this is if you're, let's say, residential or you're commercial or you're doing a ground mount system or a solar farm, based on certain options that you select on the lead, when that lead is converted over to a project, we have an automation firing that is going to include a template structure for your tasks. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to go over here to my projects and open up that lead I was just showing, which has now been converted over to a project. And we can see the project template field here on the left. And it says residential solar process schedule site survey. Now you can have as many of these different templates as you want. Like I was mentioning, if it's a ground mount, it's a commercial job. Commercial jobs are very different than residential jobs. And so you have to adjust your processes accordingly. So based on that, we'll automatically pick the best template for you. And then what that looks like here in QuickBase, if I scroll down, we then have all of those deliverables automatically load for us with a projected start date, the owning role. I would then have the ability, let's say as a processing manager, to manually either assign folks, or we could automatically set up triggers to assign people internally automatically to each one of these tasks. And then if I scroll up here, we also have included a project timeline. So here I have the ability to actually view more of a kind of high level timeline view of when these have been completed, what is still pending, and how much time do they have within the given, let's say, weeks or days to complete those tasks. So as a project manager or even a sales rep, I have full insight into where my solar deal is at, when it's going to be installed. So if a customer calls up, you can log right in and be able to relay that information to the customer effectively. Scroll down here and go through some of these automations in the tasks. So not only does QuickBase automatically load that template for you, but we can also automatically kick off tasks or other workflows that's best fit for your company. So in this case, we have create pre-draft. And if I was to hit mark in progress here, what we could do then is actually, trigger notifications. It would update maybe a processing manager's dashboard. Email notifications could be sent out, but we can see what's been updated in this case is the actual start date. Our projected start date was the 11th. Now that I hit mark in progress, it automatically timestamped that for us. And then you can see the icon change as well and the status. Now, let's say I've just completed my pre-draft and I want to complete that deliverable. Same thing. It will then automatically timestamp that deliverable for me, or that task of when we finished. Okay. And within each deliverable, it's important to track your expenses and to make sure that you're either on budget, under budget, or over budget, which on the project level, you would be able to create, let's say, each project within residential. If it's this size of job, let's say 8 kilowatts, this is our budget. Right. And if let's say the installers show up and, okay, we now have to do an MPU, a main panel upgrade, all that can then be logged and you can add those expenses directly to the tasks. So as an example here, let's say the shade analysis, or let's do submit SRAC here. So I could add an expense, takes me back over to the expense table, but is still related to the project I was just viewing. And I could say, is this an OpEx spend, CapEx? I'll go ahead and add an amount. Maybe I'll say this is $500. And I'll go ahead and hit save and close. Now, if we scroll down, we can then see that that expense has now been added here. And up top, I've added a quick tab that is just going to show us expenses. So as this loads up, I just added the one expense, so we don't see too much data at this point. But over time, as you continue to add expenses to each one of those deliverables, you'll then start to see this report really start to build out. And each week, as you're adding each expense, the report on the right here, you're going to start to see break up into week groups. And so you have a great idea of how much you're spending weekly or trending upwards or down with expenses. Okay, great. Now, the second tab I have is site surveys. Now, this is a big one, especially with depending upon how you do it internally. I've seen folks where the sales rep is on site. They're required to do all the site survey photos, like peek their head up in the attic, take a look at the rafters, maybe the shade analysis, or even check out the slope in the array. What's great about this, though, is if you also have a site survey team that does this for you, you can create a brand new site survey, which then, if you're using our fast field capabilities, you can dispatch that form to the site survey team, where then they would get a ping notification, and they could log onto their phone and start to upload all this documentation in the field. And when they're done, it would automatically load back into QuickBase in real time. So your backend office would be able to see that that's done and essentially sign off. What that might look like, except on a mobile form, would be something like this, where the site surveyors would be able to come in and add, the azimuth, the tilt, and et cetera, all the way down to, all the photos that would be needed to really make sure that we're giving the right proposal or the right design to the installers for the installation. And this can also be done, let me go back here to this page. Not only can that dispatch form be sent out for site surveys, it can really be for anything that you need. Another example might be installs. So if we click over here to our install tab, and I go to edit this record, in this case, this is going to pull up our QuickBase record, but this can also be dispatched through FastBuild. where you might have something like all of your system information, your modules, the roof array, all the photos that you need. This can also be dynamic based on the finance option that you select. So let's say you select, Dividend, and they have different requirements than someone like Mosaic. All of these installation requirements, in order for you to get funded on M2, these can change based on what finance option you pick. I'll keep scrolling down here. So we have electrical, we have, and the completion, the sign off. Another great thing about Fast Build is in the field, let's say you have everything completed. The installer or the site surveyor does a quick walk around the home with the homeowner or the business owner. They can then sign off and say, yep, everything's clean, it looks good. Great. The customer can sign off on Fast Build's mobile form, which then can be uploaded here to the QuickBase record for you. Now, another big piece that I find a lot with some organizations is some of the chaos between documentation. Oh, did you, she sent that over to my email a week ago. Okay, great. We were missing the net metering agreement. We were missing this type of contract. We're missing a signature. The list can go on. And that type of lack of communication and structure can really cause delays in your process to get from start to finish. So within QuickBase, you can also log or actually load in all of your documentation that's related to the project here. So as an example, if I was to hit add attachment, you can then see this is just, again, an example where we might need everything that you see here, homeowner's insurance, driver's license, the signed install agreement. And once all of this is complete, the reason I added these checkboxes is you might want someone else internally, like a processing manager, to come in and check off each one of these after they view it to make sure the signature matches the name, on the bill or the deed. Make sure that the NEM is complete, right? Or the design. So it's just a great place to really compile everything into one central place where then you don't have to go around searching or asking anyone, hey, can you send that document again? I'll go back here to the project. Okay. Now, I also just want to showcase very quickly around the installs and the site surveys, what that potentially could look like within QuickBase for dashboards, right? So if I was to go here, I'm going to go to the site survey form. And again, this is a pretty simple view of what it could be, where we have our map view. We can see all the site surveys we've completed. We can have a calendar view here where I'd be able to hover over and see the start and end date. I could add in their address, but we'd be able to add anything that really your field crew needs around visibility, notifications, and just really being able to do the job at the best that they can. So this is an example of a site survey, and the same thing goes for an installer. Great. So just like this, I'm an installer. I'd be able to log in every day or weekly and actually see all the different installs that we have up and coming. We can also, change the colors here. So based on maybe what team or what dealer it's related to, or even the zip code or region it's related to, it can then update as well. Okay, great. So we went over fast builds. We went over some of the baseline solar application here, kind of going from start to finish. One of the other things I wanted to show is how we really automate the workflow within QuickBase. And we do that by using our pipelines. Pipelines is look at that as like a middleware, right? We're able to connect with other systems very easily. We have a lot of these pre-built channels here that are ready to go. And so if you have, already somewhat of a tech stack internally, let's say you're using Microsoft or you have Dropbox, right? Or anything like that. All of these are ready for you where it's drag and drop easy to build these kind of workflows and connections. So as an example, you maybe are, using Microsoft Outlook, and whenever an email comes in from a customer with like a record ID in the subject, it automatically is added to that project within QuickBase. So this way, if someone else is actually viewing the project, they get to see the full list of communication from that customer. So there's no missing information, no gaps, right? There's that, the connection there. And then just to show what a pipeline looks like, I'm going to show the convert lead to a project that I mentioned earlier. So I'll click into this pipeline here. And now this example is just showing you how to maybe create a workflow or automate something internally within your own apps. So I have A, B, and C steps here. My first step is when a record is updated. Now this is my lead record. So when I change that status to closed, that's my triggered event. then what I'm doing is creating a brand new record in my project table. And I can then define exactly what fields or what data from my lead information is going to be carried over to the project. And then also I'm updating that same new project that was created with a very specific template, whether that's residential, commercial, ground mount that I named before. And let's go ahead and take a look now at maybe an example in pipelines where we're tying into something like FastBuild or another service like FastBuild. So in this case, this is a site survey dispatch. Pull this up here. So you can see where a record is created, and this is actually going to be when a site survey record is created within QuickBase. I'm then going to dispatch that form out in FastBuild to, let's say, whoever I've assigned to that. And then when that form is done, I can then recall that form back into QuickBase. That includes all the photos, the signature that I had mentioned before, and of course, any of the text or data fields that any of the site surveyors or installers had filled out there. Great. In summary, what we just went over today, the AI Smart Builder had to very quickly kind of build a foundation app, whether you're in solar industry, construction. The second thing was the baseline solar app, where we reviewed a kind of more of a basic process from the entry point of a lead project, all the deliverables to site survey installation, all the way to finance and PTO. The third, we reviewed FastBuild, our mobile capability to be able to dispatch those forms to site surveyors or installers that then they can take the photos or update any information in the field, have that sent right back to QuickBase. The fourth here was pipelines and how we automate our workflows and also make that connection between other systems. So great. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to looking at all the questions and diving into the discussion with you. Thank you.